Hi everybody, welcome back to my 100% walkthrough of Assassin's Creed Syndicate. On this video we're going to be solving another dreadful crime. This one's called The Most Hated Man in London. And we find this in the city of London, but I found it a bit hard to find when I tried to get to it. It's right in the corner of the city of London, over here, look, there. That's the one, and the nearest place to travel is probably the fast travel point now, and then ride to it, which is here. And then we go and talk to Henry and Artie and talk to them.
Think of that, crushed by a crate, the most hated man in London.
Can you imagine achieving such a title? One day my brilliance will bring me similar recognition.
Mr. Raymond, what are you talking about?
It's of no consequence. What's important is that this man was hated by many, but who delivered the fatal blow?
Okay, so it's time to try and solve this. So you have to run up to the street and you find a body here with a crate on its head, look. So we see he has had a crate dropped on him, but we also see he's been stabbed, he's been shot, and he's been poisoned maybe twice. So now it's time to look at the clues. The first one is the crate, which has been dropped by a crane, which has just come into view on the left hand side there, the crane. There are 5 things on this area though in the street. Then you find the John Ashton's agenda. That's the man who's dead, by the way, John Ashton. So there he is. Here you find a clock, a watch that is stopped at 1:17, and a footprint is here also, which shows where he goes, and that's all of them. So now we can go and speak to Dr. Chester, who was passing by.
I know the man. He's hated by everyone. Surprisingly, it's not clear what killed him. I find multiple wounds. No need to send many people to jail for killing such a terrible man. What say you only arrest the single person who actually caused his death? He appears to have been stabbed with a perforating weapon, perhaps a spike of some kind. There would be bleeding and it would affect motor control right away, but death wouldn't come for another 6 minutes. I suspect that there is at least one deadly toxin in his system.
And there we have it. So now we're going to climb over the wall, which is the construction site, and look for the crimes here. Look for the clues here. There are 2 clues. One is over this side, over here, which is a bill, or a note that says basically please, it says please contribute to the man whose arm was crushed. And then we come over here to the crane, which is a big crane, and it needs to have somebody who knows what they're doing to operate it. So there are 2 guys standing here. There's Frank and then there's Eddie. We'll talk to Eddie first.
The man's a right bastard. I hope he's smouldering in hell. I'm not a crane operator. I wouldn't know how to work there. My best chum is maimed for life, and Ashton didn't care a fig. He deserved what happened. Beyond that, I'm mum. Stick on the street and the world crush you or knocking you over. Next time, I'll just stay down and sleep till it's time for the grave. That ain't right.
Okay. So that's what Eddie had to say. We'll now go to check my notes. We'll now come over and speak to Frank.
He owned this site and paid us. We all hated him because he looked for any excuse to cheat us out of our wages. I didn't hate him any more or less than my mates. It's difficult to work properly. You'd have to know what you're doing to drop it at just the right moment. He owned this site and paid us.
Oh,
We all
hit the wrong button there. Let's go back up to 117. There it
I'm
is.
given a few minutes to eat something. About then I would have been buying myself an apple at the stand down the street. Eddie? Yeah, I taught him how to work the crane a few days ago.
Ah. So Eddie's selling porkies, but we never get to ask him anymore. Eddie must have dropped, but did that cause his death? Well, don't know. But we're going to move on down to the apple cellar now. And we're going to look for the clue. The first is an apple. Funny enough, it's over here. But when you look at the apple, it's got a pinkish tinge to it.
He's my husband. Each day I bring him the household expenses just after he eats his apple. I also brought him his invitation to the knighthood ceremony, the one with the special scepter. Of course, he wasn't going to take me along. I often tie up my hair around a knitting needle. What business is it of yours?
He stopped by here every day at the exact same time. He'd buy an apple and try to cheat me out of tuppence. But then most folks do that. Yeah, that sounds right. Came by for an apple. He was here when we heard the crate hit the ground.
Okay, so we leave there and we go to the pub. Where there are a couple of clues as well. The first one being this talks about some sabotage happening to Mr. Hendrix's stuff. Read that in your own time. Then come over to here. And in the bin there is a revolver.
Now that I've seen this, I should ask more questions.
So we'll talk to the guy now.
Ashton stops in front of this pub every afternoon to check on business rumours. Something of a bastard, Ashton. Okay, he had a bit of jam on the side, if you know what I mean. Wife didn't know about it. Well, the bit of jam wants out, but he won't let her. That's the sort of fellow we're speaking of. That was Ashton's doing. The man had it in for me. He paid workers to wreck my machines. Cost me a fortune. As long as he was around, I'd never prosper. As a matter of fact, I do carry a revolver at all times. It can be a dangerous neighborhood for a wealthy fella such as myself. This proves nothing.
Okay. Having been to the pub, we're now going to go to the pharmacy. And first thing you're going to find over here is a medicine box with some blue pills. And then we're going to find some drugs over here. Different drugs do different things. Match the drug up with what's happened to Ashton on there. And then you've got finally a letter over here. Basically from the pharmacist's brother.
Find out about this.
Saying about him ruining him and all that kind of stuff. Ruining the family business.
He's been coming to me for years. He arrives precisely at 1 o'clock and leaves 2 minutes later. He takes a bluish medication every day and prefers that I administer it. Mary is a trusted assistant. As far as I know, she's completely above board. Today, she swept the shop and prepared some medications. She also fetched herself an apple from the apple stand. Mary is a trusted assistant. As far as I
there we go. Done that already.
This really is none of your business. He came to me for his blue medication. I gave him blue medication.
So, there we go.
I see him here every day. He can be unpleasant, but I don't really know him.
That's all he has to say on the matter. So we're going back to the apple stand. So back we go to where the apples are. Where is it? Somewhere. I got lost. We've looked at all the clues. All we've got to do now is speak to the apple seller.
Girl who works at the pharmacy? Yeah, she slipped me an extra threepence. She had a special apple just for Mr. Ashton. I gave him that one when he come by. Mr. Ashton did look strange like. Eyes all yellowish. And then he turned pale after he bit into the apple. Almost green, really.
So there we go. Let's go back and talk to Mary in the pharmacy.
Quite right. I asked the apple seller to give him a special apple. Is that a crime? He was a horrid man. That's all I have to say.
Okay, back to the apple seller then we go. Well, they're not the apple seller that we're going to find. We're going to actually talk to Mrs. to Mrs. Ashton again. Does she know about Mary?
Very well. I found out about his dalliance with that girl from the pharmacy. It's not the first. Divorce is all but impossible given his influence with the clergy.
And with that end, you can work out timings and different things.
Toast of the town.
But it's Mrs. Ashton that was guilty for the final kill.
A very unpleasant fellow. But what was that business about a knighthood ceremony?
Up to the cleat with you.
In any case, Mr. Raymond will have a story for Purlock Publishing.
And that's it. There's the Purlock Publishing Dreadful for you to read in your own time. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe at the end of this video. And until next time, it's bye for now.